I put down my fork carefully, the silver clinking against the fine china that cost $45 per place setting. I knew because I'd approved the invoice 3 weeks ago. Emily can't even afford to be here, Layla had announced to the entire engagement party, her voice carrying across the private event space at the Fairmont Olympic Hotel. She gestured at me with her champagne flute, drops of Veuve Clicquot catching the light. She works some little tech job. Probably makes, $30,000 a year. Mom had smiled. Actually smiled. Like my supposed poverty was charming somehow. 83 people were watching. Layla's future in-laws. Her college friends. My relatives. The silence pressed against my skin like physical weight. I paid for the venue, I said. The words came out calm. Flat. I didn't elaborate. I just reached for my water glass and took a slow sip while the room tried to process what I'd said. Layla's fiancé Brandon turned the color of spoiled milk. You did what? The venue, I repeated. The Fairmont Olympic Hotel. The grand ballroom. The flowers from Pike Place Market. The champagne you're currently drinking. The string quartet that played when guests arrived. The 5-course dinner everyone's eating right now. I paused. I paid for all of it. Layla's hand shot out and grabbed my arm, her acrylic nails digging through the silk of my blouse. You're lying. I looked down at her fingers then back up at her face. Let go of me, Layla. He didn't. Her grip tightened. That's when the venue coordinator appeared behind me, tablet in hand. Ms. Richardson? I'm so sorry to interrupt, but we need your approval on the cake delivery timeline. I gently removed Layla's hand from my arm and turned to the coordinator. Of course, Michelle. What's the question? Michelle showed me her tablet screen, and I angled it just slightly so the people at my table could see. The invoice was displayed in crisp, clear letters. The Fairmont Olympic Hotel letterhead at the top. My name as the account holder. The total at the bottom, $47,382. Payment status, paid in full. Mom's champagne glass slipped from her fingers. It didn't break. The tablecloth was too thick, but pale liquid spread across the white linen like a stain. The cake should arrive at 7:30, I told Michelle. Please have them set it up in the alcove near the dance floor. And make sure the sparkler candles are ready. Perfect. Thank you, Ms. Richardson. Michelle walked away, completely oblivious to the fact that she'd just detonated a bomb in the middle of my sister's engagement party. I'm Emily Richardson. 31 years old. Director of Engineering at Axiom Solutions, a cybersecurity firm in downtown Seattle. I make $186,000 a year base salary, plus bonuses that usually push me over $220,000. I have stock options worth somewhere north of $500,000 if the company goes public like everyone expects. Layla is 26. She's a junior marketing associate at a boutique PR firm, making maybe $45,000 a year. She lives with Brandon in a rental house in Ballard that his parents co-signed for. But Layla has always been the star. Brandon was staring at me like I'd grown a second head. You paid almost $50,000 for this party? Yes, I said simply. Why? Layla's voice had gone shrill. Why would you do that? Because you're my sister, I said. And when you called me crying 6 months ago because you couldn't afford the wedding you wanted, I offered to help. You said you needed $15,000. I said I'd cover the engagement party instead to take some pressure off. You said okay. Mom finally found her voice. Emily, we had no idea you could afford something like this. I know, I said. You've made that very clear. Dad was looking between me and Layla like he was watching a tennis match. Your little tech job. Isn't little, I interrupted. I manage a team of 42 engineers. I'm director of engineering. I've been in this role for 2 years. The silence that followed felt like drowning. Layla had told everyone I was a low-level IT person. She told our parents I did basic tech support, resetting passwords and fixing printer jams. She told her friends I was still trying to figure out my career at 31. I'd stopped correcting her after the first dozen times. How long? Mom asked. How long have you been making this kind of money? I've been 6 figures since I was 27, I said. I've been supporting both of you financially since I was 28. Dad's fork clattered against his plate. What are you talking about? I pulled out my phone, opened my banking app and turned it toward them. The mortgage payment I send you every month. $1,200. I've been doing it for 3 years. That's from Layla, Mom said automatically. Then she stopped. Her eyes went wide. Isn't it? I scrolled down, showing them the transaction history. Every month like clockwork. $1,200 to their account. 3 years of payments. $43,200 total. Layla made a sound like a stepped-on cat. Your medical bills, Dad, I continued, looking at my father. When you had that heart scare last year. $8,000 for the cardiologist and the test. I paid it directly to the hospital. Dad's hand had gone to his chest, like the memory alone could trigger another episode. Layla said she'd taken care of that. Layla didn't have $8,000, I said quietly. Layla was 2 months behind on her car payment. My sister's face had gone from white to red to purple. You had no right. No right to what? I asked. Pay our parents' bills? Keep Dad's credit from being destroyed? Make sure Mom could afford her medication? Brandon was staring at Layla now, his expression shifting from confusion to something harder to read. You told me your sister was broke. You said she could barely afford her rent. I own my condo, I said. Outright. No mortgage. I bought it 4 years ago. You told me she was living paycheck to paycheck, Brandon continued, his voice rising. You said that's why she couldn't contribute to the wedding. I offered to pay for the wedding, I corrected. Layla said she wanted to do it herself. She wanted it to be her day, her way. I respected that. I only offered to cover the engagement party when she specifically asked for help. Layla was crying now, mascara running down her cheeks in black rivulets. You're ruining my party. No, I said. I'm clarifying some misconceptions. Aunt Caroline, who'd been silent until now, spoke up from 3 tables away. Emily, dear, I don't understand. If you've been this successful, why have you let everyone think otherwise? I haven't let anyone think anything, I said. I've told the truth. Repeatedly. People chose not to hear it. I thought about Christmas 2 years ago when I'd mentioned my promotion to senior director. Mom had said, "That's nice, sweetie," and then spent 45 minutes discussing Layla's new apartment. I'd brought up my stock options at Easter last year. Dad had asked if that was like a 401k, then changed the subject to Brandon's new job. I'd stopped trying to make them understand. You could have been clearer, Mom said weakly. Could I? I met her eyes. Last Thanksgiving I told you I was managing a 40-person team. You asked if that meant I was in charge of the IT help desk. Mom's mouth opened. Nothing came out. At your birthday dinner, Mom, I mentioned I'd been headhunted by Amazon. You asked if I'd be working in one of their warehouses. A few people at nearby tables were starting to whisper. I could see phones coming out, people pretending to check messages while actually recording. Brandon stood up abruptly. I need some air. Layla grabbed his arm. Brandon, wait. You lied to me, he said, looking down at her. About your sister. About your family's finances. About who was helping your parents. He pulled his arm free. What else have you lied about? He walked away. Layla started to follow, then stopped, turning back to me with pure venom in her eyes. You did this on purpose, she hissed. You planned this. You wanted to humiliate me at my own party. I paid for your party, I said tiredly. I showed up. I kept my mouth shut while you introduced me to your friends as your struggling older sister. I smiled while you told people I was probably here for the free food. I was going to let it all go, Layla. I was going to let you have your perfect night. Then why? Because you said I couldn't afford to be here, I said. At the party I paid for. That was the line. My phone buzzed. A text from my assistant. The presentation for Monday's board meeting is ready. Do you want to review it tonight or tomorrow? I typed back. Tomorrow is fine. Enjoy your evening. Board meeting. Mom had apparently read over my shoulder. I'm presenting our Q4 security roadmap to the executive board on Monday, I said. The CEO will be there. All the C-suite executives. Your little tech job, Layla said bitterly. Director of engineering, I corrected. At a company valued at $380 million. We're expecting to IPO next year. My stock options alone will probably be worth 7 figures. The number seemed to physically stagger my mother. She sat down heavily in her chair. Dad was staring at his plate. We failed you, Yes, I said. The honesty felt like relief. You did. We're sorry, Mom whispered. Are you? I asked. Or are you just sorry that you got caught? No one had an answer for that. I stood up, smoothing my dress. The Armani dress that cost $2,400, not that anyone had asked. I'm going to go. Michelle has my number if there are any issues with the party. The final payment has been made. Everything is taken care of. Emily, please, Layla said. She was still crying, but now it looked more calculated. Don't leave like this. This is my engagement party. That I paid for, I reminded her. That you said I couldn't afford to attend. I think we're done here, Layla. I walked toward the exit. The string quartet was playing Vivaldi. The flowers, white roses and peonies, smelled like spring. The champagne sparkled in crystal flutes. It was a beautiful party. I'd made sure of that. My phone rang as I reached the lobby. Unknown number. Emily Richardson, I answered. Ms. Richardson, this is Patricia Chen from Human Resources at Axiom Solutions. The voice was familiar. Patricia handled all C-suite and director-level issues. I apologize for calling on a Saturday evening, but we've received some concerning information. My stomach dropped. What kind of information? A series of social media posts from someone claiming to be your sister. She's been posting about Axiom Solutions, making claims about our workplace culture and your position within the company. Some of the posts suggest discriminatory practices. I closed my eyes. Of course Layla would do this. The posts are defamatory, Patricia continued. They're also factually incorrect about your role and responsibilities. Our legal team is reviewing them now. We wanted to give you a heads up that we'll be addressing this Monday morning. What does that mean exactly? I asked. It means our legal department will be sending a cease and desist letter to your sister, Patricia said gently, and possibly pursuing further action if she doesn't remove the posts and issue a public retraction. We take corporate defamation very seriously, especially when it involves our directors. I should have felt vindicated. Dad, I just felt tired. Thank you for letting me know, I said. Of course. And Emily? For what it's worth, the entire executive team knows your value. Whatever your sister is saying, it won't affect your standing here. I ended the call and stood in the Fairmont's lobby, surrounded by marble and gold leaf and the quiet hush of money. My phone buzzed again. A text from Layla. What did you do? What did you do to my social media? They're calling me on Monday. HR is calling me. You ruined everything. I didn't respond. Sometimes the best revenge isn't dramatic confrontation. Sometimes it's just finally letting people face the consequences of their own actions. I drove home to my waterfront condo in Belltown, the one with floor-to-ceiling windows and a view of Elliott Bay. I changed into sweatpants. I poured myself wine from a bottle that cost more than Layla made in a week. And I felt for the first time in years, completely at peace. My phone lit up with messages throughout the night. That Layla, Aunt Caroline, even Brandon. I'd answer them eventually. But tonight I just wanted to sit in the home I'd earned, drinking wine I'd paid for, knowing that I never had to make myself small again.